What's our subject today? What will you tell your accountant
Yeah, that's right. So
for this year's gains or losses?
Christine and I were talking about, she had said this comment almost as a throw, or maybe you put it on Twitter as, just kind of a throwaway comment of, it's going to be hard to explain to my accountant, what are these NFTs? What are, crypto can be hard in general for people to understand, but at least there they can talk in terms of coins that, maybe a financial person knows about. But if I'm to tell them, like, you see, I have this picture of this baby ape, and he, and you see he's got a drum next to him, so it's worth more.
Right. And I bought it for this much. And, if you did sell it at like the rip, right? So you'd be like, and my gains were this on these baby apes.
Right.
And like the face of your accountant would be like, dude, what the hell are you talking about?
No
Because
doubt. Like, on cartoons when sometimes in cartoons, if people like drink like a beer or something and their eyes just get turned into like pinwheels and there's just like spinning in
yep.
the eyes, that's what I imagine the accountant's kind of looking at, is just complete pinwheel eyes with no clue what I'm talking about.
Right. And the thing about it is, right, like, that. So my accountant, I'm sure a lot of accountants keep up to date with a lot of the potential new investments people are making and gains. Like, I know that accountants somewhat, at least basic knowledge, know about crypto for a while now. And that they are super pissed that they have to learn about NFTs now and how to, the taxation, the new taxation laws on NFTs. I just think it's so funny because my accountant's great, and I think he's gonna cuss me out because my whole income has a bunch of weird things in it now that I'm gonna have to explain, and not. I'm gonna try not to laugh, but he's gonna cuss me out.
Do you have to pay? It sounds like you found a good accountant. Is there a premium for a good accountant that can at least understand crypto, and now they're going to understand NFTs after they get through with you? Is there a premium paying
I
for that?
don't know because he's a great accountant and he handles like, the corporation I have and like the accounting and the taxes. I've never, so before this past year, I'd always just buy stocks or even crypto since 2016, but I never cashed out on it. Like I just kept it in and it was like a set it and forget it. This past year is the only year that I've ever really like started cashing out gains. And I know that he's going to be like, what in the hell did you do? Like, why didn't you call me? What is this? Like, what are all these different things? And I have yet to know how he's going to approach, like, the taxation on the NFT stuff or me cashing out on the stocks. And what I'm confused about too is like the short term. Like I never like day traded before or anything. So this is going to be all new to him and myself in the taxes because he is under the impression that I just buy stocks and I leave it there for years and years and years and I'll cash out way later because that's how I was until COVID started. And I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to pay myself. So he's going to hate me for sure.
Well, so you've got a lot of things going on then. First of all, it sounds like you cashed out like with stocks this year for the first time ever. So there's a wrinkle that he wasn't prepared for.
Yeah, I'm
It
also not prepared for.
right, right. Well, yeah, you may literally not be prepared for. We were talking this morning, and with stock trades, it works kind of funny as far as capital gains are concerned because you may cash out, and maybe you make $20,000. Maybe you did really good on your cashing out, right? But then you put that $20,000 into another stock because you're like, okay, now I'm going to buy at the bottom of another stock or another NFT or whatever. And then that $20,000 is gone and into the next investment. But guess what? You're taxed on the capital gains of liquidating that first amount of stock. And yeah, then the tax man comes and says, "Hey, remember that $20,000 you made? I'm gonna need a little slice of that." And
I'm
you
gonna
say,
be like, no, I don't remember what you're talking about, and I don't remember that NFT.
I think whenever you say I don't remember, I think they say, "Okay, good enough," and they walk away. It seems like
Yeah,
I remember. That's the
I wish, right? And of course, magically, we have NFT tax guy up here, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on a bunch of the CPAs that are now going to have to talk to us about our cartoons and JPEGs.
Hey guys, I am out walking the dog, but I'll try to talk a little bit here. I think there definitely is going to be a premium when it comes to tax preparation, just tax consulting related to crypto and NFTs, just because it's another thing added on top of what you've already got going on, right? And sure. I think, in order to make things easier, I would say prepare now as much as you can and use those crypto softwares out there to prepare your transactions in a readable format for your CPAs or tax preparers.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So first of all, I'm glad you're in here and I'm glad you're multitasking with you and your dog. But how is even the government going to determine a value of an NFT? Because really with an NFT, it's not like I can just look at a market price of it. It's really only valuable until I sell it and find out what somebody's willing to pay for it. How is the government going to determine what value my NFT is that I'm holding on to?
Well, there's a couple of steps in the transactions. Let's say you're going onto OpenSea and you're buying a new NFT project for 1 ETH, right? You bought that 1 ETH a year ago, let's say for $1,000. You now transferred that ETH into a new NFT. The ETH at that time is worth $4,000. So now you have a $3,000 capital gain you have to recognize. And now your cost basis within that NFT is $4,000. And then when you sell it, let's say you sell it in 2 years for 4 ETH. Whatever the ETH is worth at that time, let's say it's worth $10,000. So 4 ETH times the $10,000, you have $40,000 minus your basis of $4,000, you have a $36,000 capital gain. And then if you're holding on to the ETH, you could have another capital gain if you sell that ETH later or buy another NFT.
You remember those pinwheel eyes I was talking about?
I have a question, NFT tax guy. Is that what we call you, NFT tax guy, or do you want us to call you?
My name's David.
Okay, David, NFT tax guy. I have a question. So do you think, like, moving forward, this is what I was thinking about yesterday because I'm getting scared now that I have an appointment with my accountant. Do you think moving forward I should create a corporation where I do like all of these transactions with like my NFTs and crypto and I guess essentially stocks? Should I put that in a corporation and not tax it as like my personal?
I mean, there are benefits to that. I'd speak to your accountant to see what they think. And I would definitely make sure if you're doing that to make sure you separate things, you set up, different accounts for each. And there's different tax rules depending on the entity structure you're going to pick. So I'd say definitely consult with your CPA.
Okay.
So I have a question about selling an NFT for ETH. So let's say I take $1,000, I buy 0.25 ETH with that, and I spend that 0.25 ETH on an NFT. Then I sell that NFT for 0.5 ETH, but I don't convert the ETH to fiat. Is that a taxable transaction?
Yes. So if it's whatever that, so when that 0.5, whatever that 0.5 ETH is equal to at the time you sell your NFT, let's say it's worth, so you say $1,000, you bought it for 0.25. Now the 0.5 is worth, let's say $2,500, right? So then you have $2,500 minus $1,000, you have a $1,500 capital gain. Plus, you could subtract out any gas fees you're paying as well to kind of, or any fees or anything like that to kind of to bring down the gain a little bit.
Thank goodness for high gas fees. Finally, it's working in our favor, y'all. That is interesting to be able to talk about and incredibly confusing. This is where we really rely on our experts like David. And David, just on my personal Voice of DeFi account, I just followed you because, you seem like a good follow and somebody that's knowledgeable. Tell me this, if somebody is, here's you, who obviously you have a national presence being on Twitter. You're not just like limited to a state. Is there any type of reason why they should get a local CPA, or could they get somebody that's a tax preparer like yourself and get somebody out of their own state to be able to prepare their taxes for NFTs and crypto?
I think you could go national for this stuff if you wanted to. With COVID-19, I'm remote, 100% remote. I've set up the tax portal to get all my tax documents. So I'm based in Massachusetts, but I have clients in New York, in Texas, in Virginia, all over the place. It's just the nuances for state laws can differ from state to state. So I just have to make sure that if it's a new state that I haven't covered before, I just got to kind of brush up on it a little bit. But for federal tax purposes, it's all the same.
You know, that makes sense to me as I think about like TurboTax and things like that, you know, obviously those are national, they're not local. And, you know, thousands upon thousands, maybe millions upon millions of people use that. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Crypt Keeper, you got your hand up. What's up?
Can you open up a LLC like for NFTs? Like not even for like you having your own project as far as like owning the NFTs?
I mean, you certainly could. You just have to know that it's going to be passed through, right? So let's say you open up an LLC and you're the sole owner. If you're buying and selling NFTs within the LLC, any of the capital gains that you're making within the LLC are going to get passed down to you.
Sounds like there's not as much of an advantage then.
Yeah.
It's the liability. I mean, if there's any chances of liability that you could face, that's really the reason to set up the LLCs.
But, yeah, I get that. But if you're just like Crypt Keeper said, it's more like an investment rather than like you're running your own project. If you're running your own project, I can see why you would want to limit your liability. If you're just saying, I don't own these, the LLC owns the NFTs, I don't know liability.
Yeah, you're not going to avoid taxes that way.
Would setting up an LLC for that give you access to additional tax deductions though?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, potentially if it's a business that you're setting up, but if it's just something for investment purposes, I mean, I'd say it's kind of hard to justify. But that's just it's not financial advice. I mean, talk to your own CPA and see what they think, but it's just my opinion.
It's like stock trading. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, you know, I do most of my trading inside an LLC, and I do that for, you know, so I can deduct anything that's deductible as a business, you know, and maybe even some things that aren't necessarily deductible. But you know, the worst thing that happens is they say, hey, you can't deduct that. But you know, there are a lot of things you can deduct as a business. You know, you need a computer to trade NFTs. You need internet.
Yeah, like I said, if it's an active business, that's one thing. If it's something where you're just buying NFTs and just doing like a little bit of investing, putting it into an LLC just for that purposes, I don't really see the need.
How about if you do the NFTs, the crypto, and any kind of investment trading like that? I mean, because some people are, you know, they do really well in their investments, and it could potentially be, it could put them on a different bracket. So would it be smart to do that if it was all like the investments in one LLC or S Corp or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's could be potential benefits there, but again, you know, if it's going to be passed through to yourself, you know, let's say as a sole member LLC, and you have $100,000 of capital gains within the LLC, it's going to get passed through to you. So there's different things you'd have to do to make sure you structure it the right way.
So how about if I put my wife like as my employee? I'm sorry.
She could be on the board or something. Or yeah, she could be an employee, right?
Yeah, she could be the one buying and selling, and like I'm just paying her.
I mean, there's ways that you could even get if you have kids, you could have your kids do some jobs for you too. I mean, there's different things there's all kinds of things you can do.
Be sure to listen in to all of our weekly shows and follow us on Twitter for updates.